Okay, we are interviewing Diane Hart. And Diane, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
What is your profession called?
My profession officially is called Applied Equine Podiatrist, but I call myself a trimmer because most people either do not understand that, or I'm uncomfortable calling myself a podiatrist because I am not a doctor. But the word podiatry is the study of the foot.
Interesting. So then what does the average work day look like for you?
It can be trimming the horse hooves of 1 to 8 horses.
And so what do you do when you trim their feet?
I drive to a client's home. I drive local and all over most of the state. We work with the horse. There's always a handler for safety, and I work with the horse as they need. I work with a lot of horses that have rehabilitation needs, so there's not a time constraint. We work with the horse to get them better, whatever the issue is.
Okay. So can you explain why it's important for horses to have healthy, natural hoofs?
Well, healthy is the key word. I am not opposed to metal shoes. There is a time and place for them, but most horses, we have found, do not require metal shoes. So one of the reasons why we don't push for metal shoes is because the metal actually constricts. It doesn't allow the foot to actually move through like a 3D distortion. All of the parts of the foot are flexible, even though some are harder than others. When a hoof does not have any restrictions like a metal shoe, it's allowed better blood flow. The soft tissue is actually more in touch with the ground, and it is able to keep strong. It won't atrophy as quickly as it will over the years if someone keeps their horse in shoes decade after decade after decade.
Interesting. Okay. So why might someone prefer to keep healthy natural hoofs rather than shoe them?
For those reasons, a lot of the horses that I work with have not been in shoes their whole life. One of the things that we're taught to do through the institute that I went to for my classes and my training is to really focus on the caudal part of the hoof, to make sure that the soft tissues, the cartilage, the back of the frog, the deep digital flexor, the digital cushion is strong. What you'll see, and just bring me back if I kind of go off in a different direction to answer the question. What we see is over the years, these horses that are not allowed to have that flexion, because the back of the hoof has more flexibility than the front, because the front has the hoof. The back of the foot is more cartilage. There's 80% cartilage, soft tissue, etc., inside the hoof. But in the front of the hoof, you've got that strong, powerful toe that'll help with going through the stride and liftoff. So when you don't allow the back of the hoof to use its potential, if it's a healthy horse and they're able to not be in shoes, then they're going to maintain strength in their cartilage, in their tendons, in their ligaments, and that's going to help sustain them over the years. You work with a horse that's been in shoes for 20 years and you want to take it out, it's going to be take it out of shoes. It's going to be a lot more difficult to rehab, and it may not be able to be rehabbed. That's where the vet comes in. You work
Wow.
together as a team. But a horse that grows up without shoes or only has shoes on temporarily or for a short time, some people put them on periodically if they're going into a rough terrain, but take them off and maintain that natural barefoot, environment. Then their horses are healthier.
Interesting. So it can be very difficult to rehab a horse that's had shoes his whole life, and you're wanting to take them off.
It's harder.
Interesting.
It is harder. There are some things that I like to work with the vets and try different techniques, because you might find a horse is more prone to laminitis, and if you take them out of shoes a certain time of year, they may be more susceptible to laminitis. These are just my personal experiences and things that I've been taught. They may differ from other schools of thought.
Interesting. Okay. So, can some overall health concerns of the horse be detected by the condition of the hoofs?
Absolutely. This is the part I love.
Okay.
Gravity shows us a few of the things that can happen in a horse. Sometimes when I pick up a horse hoof, I can tell, especially if I know that horse, I can tell if Cushing is developing. Sometimes we can catch it in the foot before you see it in the rest of the horse. Sometimes vice versa. You'll often tell if a horse has laminitis. There's something metabolic going on in that horse, it'll show up in the foot. A few horses that like to eat things they shouldn't eat, kind of runs through in their system like a poison, shows up in the hoof.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
can you tell what type of things that they've eaten that they
No.
shouldn't? Okay.
That would be
Okay.
the vet.
Yeah. Interesting. So, if you had a client who was unsure if he wanted to shoe his pasture horse or manage the hooves in the natural state, what would you tell him?
I would develop a history. I would want to know things like, what is the age? What is the breed? Have they been in shoes before? How long? Are you talking pasture horse, you're never going to ride it? Or are you talking, all right, I want to take it in the Gila. I'm calling it a pasture horse, but I want to take it in the Gila. For a very good example is I'm working with a gentleman who did purchase 2 horses from the Gila. They're fairly young, 5, 7 years old, and they were never in shoes. He brought them over here to Las Cruces area, wants to do some riding, and he's not sure, should I put my horse in shoes or not? So I told him that I can't answer that right away. I would like to see the horse. I would like to know what you're feeding the horse, because whatever you're feeding the horse, it's going to show up in the feet. It's going to make a difference for a healthier foot or not. Does this horse have any metabolic issues, any health issues, medical issues? Has this horse had problems with deep digital flexor tendon issue, suspensory ligament problem, surgery, something? Tell me more about these horses. Are these horses thin-soled? All these things are going to matter. If the horse is fairly healthy and the person focuses on exercise and nutrition and patience with their horse, really paying attention to their horse, they may find that they won't require any kind of shoes, like metal shoes. They may say, I'm going to put my horse in boots, and that's great too. Some people do that.
Interesting. So what do the boots do?
The boots add extra support, avoid stone bruises, and the advantage of having metal shoes on, you've got the horse hoof up a lot higher, so some of those rocks aren't even going to touch the bottom of that hoof, and there are benefits to shoes.
Interesting. So, what is the most rewarding part of your job?
Being able to work with a horse that needs rehabilitation and working with the people that are involved. I don't like to look at this job as a lone wolf job. I like to work as a team with the owner, with the vet, and whomever else might be involved. Some people use chiropractic, dentist. Like to work as a team with those people, and so we can better the horse. A good example is I met a horse that's 31-year-old quarter horse in Alamogordo. It could have been heading in a direction where it may need to be put down in the next few years. But the owner and I worked very carefully with the horse, changed the entire trim of the horse's hooves, addressed the fact that this horse had foundered years ago, had issues of laminitis. The owner thankfully had a lot of knowledge on feeding horses, what to work with to make this horse's hooves, overall body feel better, looking at joint supplements, looking at things that are not going to provide too many sugars in this horse. Kind of looking at the big picture, the holistic picture. She was very good at that. So between the two of us, she's got a horse that's chasing around a 4-year-old gelding wanting to mate with it. The paddock next door to her, she's like, I can't believe that. The horse is 31 years old, and she's running around saying, all right, I'm ready to go dating.
Wow.
So.
That's funny.
I hope that's okay to say.
That is. So, then how did you end up in this line of work? What brought you to do this?
Well, I'll tell you the funny part. I had a stressful job in social work.
Oh.
So I started volunteering at a barn because I was sitting a lot and needed to get out, get some exercise, and eventually met the farrier that was the trimmer. And he went to the same school, and he was very good. I ended up working with him, going to the schools in Florida, and mentoring with him so I could learn a lot. I had 20 years of social work in Detroit, crisis case management, and whatever you can fit in the social work basket. I was ready for a change.
Wow. That's interesting.
Plus paperwork.
So, then what would you say is the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part is firing a client.
Firing a client. Okay. So, what causes you to have to fire a client? Do they not?
Firing a client. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
If I see something's happening with the horse, and I'm certain that I know what I'm talking about, and I address it with the owner, and they do not make any changes, I look at the big picture. Why? Why is that client not making any changes? Is it money? Is it disinterest? What can we do to help this horse? As a person who practices equine podiatry, we look at the horse's initial needs, and I look at the horse as I'm working with the same horse 5 years down the road. What are the long-term needs of this horse? So I bring those things to my knowledge to the client. I also bring my questions to the client. I don't know the answer to this. I think I might know, or I have no idea. We need to talk to a vet. And I say we because I look at it as a team effort. Of course, they're paying the bill, but it is a we effort because I want them to know, you have to work as a team, and that's one of the biggest things I push. It's not done too much, but it's really important.
Okay. So I heard you saying you went to school in Florida. So what type of educational requirements or certifications do you have to have?
I have completed a level 1 certification diploma from the Institute of Applied Equine Podiatry. I'm in the process of taking level 2, which works more with the difficult cases, the horses that end up having severe founder or have twisted limbs, things that you need to take a look at very carefully before trimming a horse. I'm just into that program. I've taken other courses, anything that I can find to teach me, not only from the class the schooling that I took, but elsewhere. I like to learn different theories. I'm very happy with the schooling that I went to, but I do believe that everyone has some knowledge that could benefit from other specialists in the field.
Okay. So, would you recommend this career?
I would.
You would?
Personally, I have to be very patient and learn good social skills.
Oh.
A lot of trimmers come in when they don't have that connection with the owner. They come in, they want to do their job. They may not communicate what the needs are with the owner. They may just tell the owner, this is what you need to do. I guess because of my social work background, it comes in handy. I say, all right. What is your motive for having this horse? Is it because you had one when you were a little girl and you needed one as an adult and it's just a pasture horse? And do you have the funds? If I say, wow, this horse needs something pretty significant, like some very serious dental work, can you afford it? If they can, great, we'll move in that direction. If they can't, or they won't, then we move in another direction.
Okay.
It's like a game of chess.
Yeah. Interesting way to put it. So that's good that your social work came in handy.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have been able to. Horse owners are a difficult breed.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this interview.
You're welcome.
And I really appreciate it.
You are welcome anytime.